Hello and welcome. So we're at Universal Studios in Singapore and we're going to be taking a full park tour. Now, if you have been following the series, I have already uploaded each individual zone separately in much more greater detail, but this footage, all of this footage, is yet to be used because I did refilm everything in the opposite way later on in the day. That's something now that I'm going to be doing now, because you do see things from a different perspective when you walk around the park the opposite way. So now what we're going to do, we're going to walk all the way up and through Hollywood. You can see there's lots of different pieces to soak in, but rather than going up the one side and back down the other, I just keep turning from one side to another so you can see everything. But this popcorn wagon was a huge attraction to a lot of tourists and maybe locals as well for getting their photo taken. Now, that is a workable space. You can buy your popcorn from there, but loads and loads of people were getting their photo taken. Now, the good thing is about doing a full loop later on in the day, you also have different character meets and greets as well. So when I first came in the morning, it was very, very busy. We've already done the Minion Mart, and that was packed on the inside of that, but I walked up and just turned right. What we're now going to do is just going to walk in a straight line to the far, far away section and then do a full loop, basically in reverse. And this is so much easier for me to find the files and put everything together, and it's just a different perspective for you guys and girls to see things as well. But you can see in the distance, you've got the big Sci-Fi roller coasters, and then you've got Mel's Diner, which is the blue thing just in front. But we are making our way to the far, far away section. Now, this was only filmed about 9 weeks ago from this being uploaded. You can see there's the Minions walking out, and we are walking past what I do believe is right towards the end of the construction work to the Minions land. So I am hoping now, by the time this video has gone live, that the Minions land is open. So please let me know in the comment section below if this brand new section to our left is now open, and also what did it used to be. But you can see the hot rods from the Mel's Diner. That is what we'll take a look at right at the end. And at the very, very end of the video, we also see some of the park when it's a little bit darker, and the lighting is absolutely fantastic as well. But you can see it says the Minion Land opening up in 2024, but it just hadn't opened up at the time that I was there. Now, with regards to the layout of this park, it is super, super easy. You just walk up the main bit. You either turn left to go into the Minion section. You can do what I'm doing now, where you just walk in a straight line, and it gets you to the far, far away section, so you can miss the Minions land as such. But I would imagine you'd have all these different cut-throughs where the wall is, so I'm assuming you'd be able to go straight into that bit as well if you wanted to, and then it's its own world within there, which is something very, very different, because they don't have that in Florida. They've just got more bigger buildings and bigger rides there. You can, if you want to, do a full loop around the water as well, so you can sort of cut on the inside of every single land as well and just get to where you want to go to. But you can't go from here to the Sci-Fi section in a straight line, obviously, because there's no bridge. So you do have to get your steps in to be able to walk around to the sections that you want to go to. But there's probably about maybe 2 hours, hour and a half left until the park closed, and it was so much calmer than what it was first thing in the morning. Now, I think certain sections of the park were very, very busy, because what we are walking past now, which is all this amazing artwork and a huge amount of people as well. That's why I've got the camera pointing this way, because you can see the artwork is something that we missed in all of the other videos. But there was armies of people coming out this way, because obviously everybody did a full loop, what we're seeing now, and then they're just using this basically as the exit path. As you can see, more and more people coming down, but it is a little bit tight. But the second this barrier and the boards and everything get taken down, it will look great. And it was a really big photo opportunity wall as well. Loads of people were stopping and getting their photo taken in front of the Minions. So it wouldn't surprise me if there is a big photo opportunity inside the land as well, because it did seem a very, very popular place to stop and get your photo taken, just like it was here. But you can see in the distance, you've got the Sci-Fi roller coasters. There are 2 different roller coasters there. We'll be taking a better look at those as we start to walk around and get tucked into the section of the park. Now, obviously, like I said, there are different zones available already in the playlist, where we do go into all the shops and all the other little bits and pieces and take a bit of a better look at like the queue lines and stuff where I can. Whereas this is basically just to say what you see, and it's a one loop. So I will miss some paths, because like I said, there's different cut-throughs available in different zones. But at the same time, I have already done that walking the opposite way. Now, I didn't think at the time that that roller coaster was working, but it was. So when I came back this way, there was hardly anybody on it. It just looked like the entrance to the ride was actually closed, but it was right beside the construction work sign, and the door was still open. So I think it might have thrown quite a few people, because until I saw the thing going round, I just assumed that that whole section of the park was closed as well. But you can see just how beautiful the rock face is and all the trees and everything. And I'm glad the camera is still working nice for its age, and it's picking up all these beautiful colours. So it's, again, lots and lots of photo opportunities. You can come around this way and you can see again lots of people follow me in this way, and then there it is. So that's the first time I saw that running round. What this queue section here is for, I don't know. I'm assuming it's probably for a Shrek meet and greet at some point, but because certain areas of the Shrek section as well is closed, that this might not be operating at this time. So hopefully all of this is now running full fat again for the new, or I say the current season of 2024, in the new summer is what I should have said. And then just let us know in that comment section if the Minion bit is open, and of course again what actually used to be there, what they actually taken away. But we are now in the far away section. Now there are 2 entrances into each park, or each zone of the park, shall I say. So if I was coming this way, this is the way I obviously walked out of, and you have a completely different entrance on the way in with different photo opportunities and different bits and pieces. But you can see the amount of people that are stopping and taking photos of all the architecture, just the huge castles, and everything is on a huge scale, but it's also very clean as well. Now this is like a hybrid of Islands of Adventure and also Universal Studios in Florida, because you've got some more of the this kind of theming with regards to the 4D type stuff, because you've got the Transformers and everything on this side as well. But then because you've got the sci-fi section, which has the huge roller coasters, that is basically 2 versions of the Hulk, which they've got in Florida as well. So you get the best of both worlds. You've got the choice of motion simulators and a lot of roller coasters in the same section. And then as we pass through the far away land, we'll then go into Egypt, and there has a big roller coaster in there. You've got a huge water ride, or a big river rapids, in the Jurassic Park section. That is the next section that we're going to be walking into. So like I said, certain pockets are still a little bit busy, so this bit, for example, now is much busier than what it was when I first came round. So obviously everybody's come to this bit last, so I think a lot of people just came into the park and turned right. But as we start walking against the traffic, it does start to thin out, and I was amazed by just how much more calm the Transformers section was, and also the Jurassic Park section as well. So hopefully it'll come through on the camera nice and clear that there's lots and lots of different bits and pieces to go to, because when I first came down you could not get a table for love or money. And the nice thing is that obviously each one of these is under lots and lots of shade. It's all the different eating areas, and that's just a nice thing that they've got extra seating on the outside. Now, one of the big things I'm mega impressed with is the width of the paths in the middle, because sometimes you go around certain theme parks and you do bottleneck up, whereas this one you've got loads of space. You've got loads of space easily to get inside every front door that you want to get into. You can easily find the rides, and then you've got this really nice brick road almost taking you to the entrances of the different lands and the different zones. And the nice thing is that they've got all this theming hidden as well, so you've got to pay attention to it, because all of those bits and pieces are to do with the Shrek film, and there's lots and lots of little Easter eggs revolving and around the actual ride as well. So if you are a big Shrek fan and you went into that corner, you would probably really appreciate that kind of thing. But this is what I mean about just how wide this road is. It is enormous, and then you've got the little actual pavement and the sidewalk either side outside the front of the shops as well. But you can see you've got the big far away writing just up at the top. You've got the different bars, you've got the different shops. The nice thing is that some of this fascia is actually just false fascia for the rides that you get into on the castle when you first come in, because some of the 4D rides look absolutely enormous. So you can see just how clever it is where they've got false front doors in, and actually they are the exit from some of the rides as well. So they've done it very, very well with regards to the use of fascia. They have done that very well as well at Motion Gate in Dubai, where you've got the John Wick ride, for example, which is available on this playlist somewhere, so keep your eyes peeled for that, because you actually go into the Continental Hotel, and then when you come back out again, you actually just come out of it like a generic building, but you couldn't tell that that is actually the exit of the ride when you first see what's going on. But that is a short loop of the far, far away section. So we're just over 10 minutes in, and we've covered 2 zones. Each zone individually is longer than that anyway. So we're now in to the Jurassic Park bit. Now, as we spin round, you can see you've got all of these bits and pieces just here. That is my face for some reason, as I'm thinking to myself, why has it got so busy? It's because just to the right-hand side, you can see you've got this thing going on, which is the dinosaur. So everybody is stopping just to film this. Now, this is something I've never seen before at any of the other Universal parks, so that's why, again, it gets busy in certain sections. But then you've got the water world as well, and it did look like a lot of people were coming out of the show for Waterworld. Now, I missed the show in Singapore, which is such a shame, but I have seen it in California, and it was fantastic. So if you do get chance and you want to see a live action show, Waterworld is brilliant, but just be very, very careful where you sit, because the seats are color coded. Depending on the section that you sit in will depend on how drenched you get to how wet you get. You're not going to be able to survive. You might be if you sit right at the very top like I did and just basically hide out the way. But if you're in the firing line of all the water, you will get drenched. And on a day like today, it was a perfect time to get soaked, because it was very, very, very hot. Now, there's lots and lots of food, lots of opportunities to grab different bites to eat. So you can see different eateries that you've got just on the left and the right hand side. And again, you've got all these different bits of shading where you can sit down. You've got all the tables just there. And the nice thing is, I'd love to see this lit up at night a little bit better, because you've got all the different sort of like the T-Rex arms holding the different lights, and more like the raptor arms as well. But you can see you've got the big famous gates that you would walk through. Obviously, this is under the Jurassic Park banner, not the Jurassic World banner. So that does mean that when you find the big water ride, which is just down there where those huge volumes of people are, that was an amazing thing to go on, but it was actually themed to the original Jurassic Park, which I much prefer. But then at the same time, the new theming of Jurassic World in Florida is nuts, as is the massive roller coaster that is there. But the size of this section of this park is enormous. It just keeps going and going. Like I said, I'm just doing one slow loop of everything. I'm not trying to find every single nook and cranny, but I've got a very funny feeling I was just an idiot, because what I've just done is I've just got back to the Waterworld section. So in case you didn't know, there is a shortcut just there back into the Jurassic Park from Waterworld. So I thought I was going a new way then, and they ended up just coming all the way back on myself. So I thought I'll just walk back up this way, and I think I end up turning left, and then we'll have a look at the other bits and pieces. But you can see you've got the big track up at the top. That is a very, very popular ride. Lots and lots of people queuing up for that one. And then as we come round, I think we've got some little shops that you can easily get into, and depending again on the time that you went to each section of the park, because the huge section of the park was closed, certain rides had a lot longer queue line than others. But you can see you've got the canopy flyer. That is the track that was just over our head. That looked like a good bit of fun. Loads and loads of people using that with a good bit of screams. And then you've got this little thing in the middle. So obviously there's rides for the bigger ones and smaller ones alike. This is where the arm goes all the way up and back down again. They've got these at a lot of the different parks, but obviously they just theme them slightly differently, so you can raise it up on the lever and then come back down again, which is always a good bit of fun. You get little screams and things like that, which is always cute to hear. And then you've got, again, queue line for the canopy flyer. The track, as you can see, wraps all the way around, and that's what I meant by the lights. So to see all of them lit up at night, I think would be really, really nice, but I just don't know how dark it gets in Singapore to the time. So I don't know what time it gets dark, compared to when the park actually closes. Because over in Florida, obviously depending on what time of year you go, you'll be walking around when it's absolutely pitch black, and that shuts at sort of 8, 9 o'clock at night, depending on what time. Whereas this, I think, shut at 7, I think it was open 9 till 7, and it was still light-ish, but you'll see what I mean at the very, very end of the video with regards to just the amount of bits and pieces that is at the end of the video for the lighting. It does look very, very smart with Mel's calf and everything all lit up, but I would like to have seen it pitch black, basically. So it's an excuse to try and come back at some point just to see the new Minions stuff, and of course see everything at night. But that is still the same ride that I'm trying to follow all the way around that we've just seen from the queue line. So this track goes all the way up through the tree line, and you can see you walk underneath what looks like a huge hammock, but obviously that is to stop anything from falling off, shoes and everything over your head, which is always handy because you are walking directly underneath the track. And then there's another one, so it fits 4 people at a time. You can see the pace that that thing goes as it shoots round. But I am now I'm still stood in the Jurassic Park section, but there's just nobody at this bit. So the rock climbing wall is closed. That was for scheduled maintenance. That was actually already up on the website. That is something that this park did do very well. It did actually let you know the times that the things were going to be closed for. The one big thing that I've said about in the videos is I was really confused about the lockers, because each section of the park had its own lockers, but some of the lockers were free, some of the lockers you had to pay for after a certain period of time, and others you just had to pay for. So for the Sci-Fi, for example, because the ride broke down and everybody was waiting to get on it, and then they actually shut the ride, you were over the time limit for the locker, but the ride took longer than it should have done because it broke down, but you still had to pay to get your stuff back. So it's a very, very weird system, because at Florida you don't do that. It's just a free locker. You literally queue up, put all the stuff in there because you're not allowed your stuff on the ride, and then you come back off again. Other times it worked perfectly fine because it gives you an hour free. So if you know the queue's under an hour, you can get on there, come back off, and it isn't a problem. I know it's to stop people keeping their stuff in all day, but it's not something that you would normally do because I've never seen that anywhere else in the world. So I don't know if that is a thing that Universal has done across all the parks and they've changed their mind, or if it's a new thing that they're introducing. But can you tell where we are? Now, if you have seen any of the log flumes in the past from any Universal Studio parks, you will know exactly where we're at, because those rides are incredible. This is next level because it's not a log flume, it is a huge river rapids, and it fits about 10 of you on there. You get beyond wet. It is madness just how wet you get on that. So that was just one of the drops. You have loads of bits and pieces that want to soak you as you go around as well, and then obviously depending on where you sit and how the thing spins round, the one thing that does get very wet is your trainers. Now obviously I'm trying to get to where everybody else is, where the drop is, and I just end up slotting in, I think, and then we just wait for the next one to come down. But you can see the pace of the water that's coming down. I think what I'll do is I'll walk down a little bit and catch it from a different angle. So all I want to show you is just the size, there it is, of the thing that is just dropped down to the bottom. So I moved at the perfectly wrong time. But you've got this bit here, which is obviously just for the staff. So that's all hidden in really nicely as well. So you've got to look up and look around with regards to all the bits and pieces that are in the tree line as well. So I've got to do that at all the Legoland parks because there's stuff hidden absolutely everywhere. But they are large, those things. You fit a lot of people in there and they fill them up. So the queue line does move very, very quickly. And if you think that is at the end of the ride and that is the slowest part of the ride, how quick that thing was moving, you can just imagine how rough it is when you are on there and how wet you will get. But like I was saying with your trainers, because the water just comes in through the door bit, your socks and shoes get absolutely drenched. But we are well underway for the Jurassic Park or Jurassic World section, and then we'll be moving on to, trying to remember what it is. It's Egypt, I do believe, next. So we've got the Egyptian world next, which it has a surprising amount of different bits and pieces. Now you can see why they've got the blowers there. So they are some big heaters, so they're your drying pods. They had some funny writing on the side of it, I think, about dinosaurs as well, saying they won't get you in here unless you're too slow and they'll come and grab you. And then again, you've got nice photo opportunities just there. That's your shop. So you've got the dino store. We've already taken a very, very good look at in the dino store. And obviously you can grab all your bits and pieces from there if you needed to. So dry clothing, for example. But you'll notice some people have extremely wet shorts and extremely wet t-shirts. Now, we've already done this bit. We've already come in this way, and you can see the queue had disappeared for the ride. So it just must have been at the time where the Water World had finished and that performance was on its way, and now it seems to be a little bit more calm around this way because that is the entrance to the river rapids. I have got a massive issue with those lockers though. I said this in the actual video before. The queue line starts in front of the lockers, so you've actually got to go to the lockers to then walk back to get into the queue line. So all of those people that we saw then are waiting to get into the locker. So if you didn't have a bag, you can't actually get onto the ride because everybody blocks it. Whereas if they had just moved it back by about 6 foot, the start of the queue line, it would be so much easier. So I don't know why they've not done that, but I could spot the mistake straight away. I'm sure somebody with more knowledge than me would let me know, but I just don't get it. Now, this is a beautiful photo opportunity as well. You've got the two massive dinosaurs outside the big eatery, and again, you've got the Jurassic Park gates just behind. Now, the flames obviously weren't working at the time, which is a little bit of a shame. It's always nice to see the flames working, but you've got these two huge dinos. You can see everybody just sits in the middle. They sit on the balls, and then they will just get their photo taken. And obviously there's lots and lots of opportunity, but you can see just how nice that looks. I might use that again as my screen grab because it's probably one of the nicest shots of the park, unless I can see something else with regards to Egypt, because that is nice as well. You've got the Discovery Food Court. Now on the inside there, massive amount of tables that you can sit down and just grab yourself a bite to eat, and you are again spoiled for choice with regards to the amount of stuff that you can eat and drink around this park. You've got little shacks where you can just grab yourself a shake, or of course you can go a lot harder than that and just get some much more bigger meals. But depending on the section of the park that you're in, the food also relates to where you are. So you've got a lot of burgers and bits and pieces here, you've got a lot of soft drinks and that kind of thing. But then when you go into Egypt, they give you a lot more spicy type food. So and you can see where Egypt is. It is literally right in front of you, and you can see we've just come from the food court. So if you are and ahhing, you can just walk from one to another really easy. So that is the Jurassic Park section of the park done, and now we're moving on to Egypt. So this is going to be a nice little loop around. Theming from this is really nice, because where I've seen the Mummy ride, for example, in Florida, it's just the nice bit of theming outside the front of the ride, and then that's basically it. You just walk past it, then you go to the next thing, and that is obviously under the Universal Studios banner. Whereas they have really gone deep on each sort of subline with regards to all of the theming. So you don't just have the Mummy here, there is other bits and pieces that you can have a look at. So you've got all these statues, for example. So this is the first time I've seen anything like this. These look very good indeed. And then you've got other rides located within this section of the park, which is some stuff that I've never ever seen before. So again, you really are spoilt for choice with regards to just the amount of stuff that you can do here for all ages of the family. Now, if you wanted to go into that bit, that is a very heavily air-conditioned room where you can get yourself a load of jewelry, and then if you keep going on in a straight line, that will then take you to the sci-fi section. And obviously in that sci-fi section, it's got the massive roller coasters and things, but just to the left-hand side, this is exactly where the Mummy ride is. But there is literally something everywhere, because you've got another ride now directly in front of us, and that is quite a big ride. It always seemed to have an hour queue as well, but you could, if you wanted to, see the theming by just walking around this land a different way. Because if you get in front of those huge statues, which everybody obviously stops to take a photo of, and just turn right, so where we're looking at right now, you can then keep going all the way down this way, turn right again, and then you actually be able to see that ride in a little bit more detail. So that way, if you had family members on there, you can then obviously take some photos, and then you'll be able to see all the different bits and pieces. But this definitely was a place where a lot of people just ended up plonking down and sitting down just to try and avoid the heat, because I have said this in a lot of the uploads, I was here when there was a heat weather warning in place. So even the locals said it was hot, but look at the pace of that roller coaster. That's what I mean about just having something for everybody at this park. I think this is possibly the best Universal Studios I've been to with regards to a mix of bits and pieces, because with regards to the one in Florida, I think everybody will agree, a lot of that is all motion simulated, it's 3D, 4D stuff, or it was at the time of this being filmed. So it'd be nice if they had, for example, a couple of different roller coasters in there instead. But that is definitely the Hulk, but just 2-track layout of the Hulk. And that is more than enough with regards to getting on that for the biggest roller coaster in the park. And then you've got a good opportunity then for the Mummy as well, because actually that is quite a fast-paced one. Does seem to be that the layout of the track for the Mummy does seem to be slightly different depending on what ride you are in the world, which keeps it nice and interesting because it will want to make you go to the different parks around the world. Now, the other thing that I did find very, very interesting is this sci-fi section, because inside this, obviously it had the Transformers, which I've seen before, and they are the same at all of the other Universal Studios. You've got the massive, massive shop, you've got a nice place to eat, and then obviously you've got the big ride itself. But this massive roller coaster, which is basically the Hulk, but it's a double version. One you sit, one you dangle. So you've got 2 different teams, basically. It is under the Battlestar Galactica theme. Battlestar Galactica, that's the one. So try and say it again. And it is a fantastic thing because they have just merged a lot of the different sci-fi bits and pieces together. But if you think about what is missing, this is the first Universal Studios that I've been to that doesn't have a Harry Potter section, and it doesn't have a couple of the other sections either. So obviously, depending on where you go to in the world will obviously depend on how popular those IPs are. But the fact that they are just starting to open up the Minions section, and that's been around in Florida for ages, it'd be very, very interesting to see what the future holds for this theme park in 2025 and 2026 as well, with regards to are they going to be rebranding and doing different bits and pieces over a period of time, because it seems to be with the new expansion in Florida, with them opening up the 3rd theme park, and of course don't forget Super Mario now taking over everything with regards to interactive stuff. It'd be very interesting to see what IP comes to this next, because that is the only thing that is missing from this park. A section of the park where everybody basically spends the whole day. Because normally when you go into the Harry Potter section, everybody's dressed up in their bits and pieces, and they are in there all day just looking at all the bits and pieces because there's so much to do there. That's why you need 2 days in the park. And again, with the new Super Mario thing, to be able to get into the final level and obviously to go into the Bowser's Castle, you need to complete the sub-levels, and you've obviously got to buy the device to be able to do it. So you queue up for every single small level, and then you can go in there with a friend and do the final level together. But don't forget, that is not the main ride of the actual area. Anybody can go on and queue up for that, and that is the amazing, huge go-kart track, which has the sort of almost VR headset as you're driving around. It's very, very clever. With regards to how that actually works, and obviously the bits and pieces that you can do. So yes, if one of those 2 sections came into here, you would spend a huge amount of time in each one of those zones, but it doesn't look like they've got any more space to expand. It just looks like they're going to have to replace. But everything flows so nicely, I don't know what they would take out. Because the Minions is now next to the Far, Far Away, and obviously now the Shrek is now a big thing again over in America. I think they're just opening that up in the Universal Studios in Florida, and obviously is a massive thing at Motion Gate in Dubai as well. That's a very, very popular thing with regards to the roller coasters and things that they've got there, and obviously they have got a Shrek section. All of those videos will be available again on this channel. I'm moving them over from one channel to another, so you'll be able to see exactly what I'm talking about sooner rather than later. But they have got some very, very fast launching roller coasters, which is very surprising for the type of theming that is available underneath there, like How to Train Your Dragon, for example. That ride is just breathtaking, and how it goes out of the actual building and then wraps it around all the eateries and comes back in again. Very, very clever indeed. So we are now walking back up on ourselves before we then tuck back in to the sci-fi section. We've got about 20 minutes left, so we're well over the halfway mark. So if you can like this video and subscribe to the channel, that'd be absolutely fantastic. And of course, as we carry on walking around, let me know what your favorite section of the park is as well. Have you been to this one before, or how does this compare to your local Universal Studios? Because I know there's one in Japan, obviously there's one in California, there's one in Florida, and obviously there's one here, and there's a couple of others dotted around the world as well. And I do have a bit of a tick list of traveling to different places that I want to try and get to, and obviously start doing some more comparison videos on this channel of the same section. And it's going to make it very, very interesting when it comes to here to Florida, because certain things I can't do, other things there's not going to be much footage of the one ride, but there is of here, and vice versa. So to have the Florida park and this park running side by side as a comparison video, I think it would be very, very interesting to put the sci-fi section up against the superhero section with regards to the rides and the roller coasters and just the theming of different bits and pieces, because the track layout looks very, very familiar, but it's just double skinned. So obviously you've got the black track, you've got the red track, like I said, you've got different seating positions for each. The speed I think is the same, but it does feel different with the actual layout itself. One of the layouts is slightly different to the other, so you can see the different bits and pieces that are going on. The reason why that cut out just there is because I grabbed myself a nice drink. I think I grabbed myself ice cream as well. But you can see that they do run in parallel, so they actually are running both of these now at the same time, and they do race each other around, so they are a pretty cool thing to see. And of course you've got the big safety nets as you walk underneath. But we are in the sci-fi section, getting to the Transformers section, which is still under the sci-fi banner. So there's a lot to do underneath this, and you can see just the pace of those two battling around, and you obviously can pick and choose what your favourite one is. One of the tracks had 2 carts running, one of the tracks only had the one, so one of them was a little bit slower for the turnaround. The theming for the queue line for both of them was brilliant, because they're both basically slagging each other off about what team's the best team to go for, and I would imagine it is very heavily based on the actual film as well, which is a film I don't think I've seen. But you can see that you've got Accelerator there to the left hand side. That is a Bumblebee ride, so that is a ride under the Transformers banner. That is something I have not seen at any of the other Universal Studios as of yet. Then you've got the Starbot Cafe, which is obviously a place that you can go in and grab yourself a bite to eat. And then you have the Bumblebee Opportunity car there just to the right hand side. Then you've got some pay to plays to the right hand side. If you carry on walking in a straight line, that is the shortcut that I said right at the very start, where you can just walk around the water. But as I am just doing one full loop, I am not going to be able to show you that in this video, but that is always and also available in other videos and other uploads. Just head over to that playlist if you want to see some sneaky shortcuts and different bits and pieces. Now to the right hand side, that was a big photo opportunity. You can see you've got the Sci-Fi City banner, which changes colour. Then obviously you've got the Transformers The Ride, which is the big 4D ride that is in there. Always got a big queue line there, no matter where you go. And then you've got a Daybot Centre just on the inside just here, so that's got loads of different theming on the inside. And of course then you've got a nice big shop as well, packed full of exclusive sets for toys, clothes, merchandise, all under the Universal banner, and of course the actual Transformers bits and pieces as well. Now we are into the last section of the park, which is an area that we've not been into yet, and this, it looks a lot calmer than what it was in the actual original upload, because like I said, I came in and turned right. But they do a lot of performances just in the middle of the street just here, so depending on the time that you walk by, there'll be different entertainment going on. But you can see what I mean about all the lighting and everything around the outside. If this was much darker, it would be very, very interesting to see exactly what it would be like. But like I said, it wasn't pitch black when I was there. You can see you've got a Sesame Street meet and greet on this side, and then you've got other different bits and pieces on the other as well. They have got so many different characters and people dressing up for different things. You've got some amazing performances that they do. It's just very, very interesting to see some of the sort of the actors that will be working underneath those for the dances and things. Will be doing a lot of costume changes throughout the day, and they do put on like a diner type thing as well. They've got like a little concert outside the front, so that was just a little bit further down to the right hand side. When I sat down and had a bite to eat, there's a performance going on just there as well. So It was a fantastic day, and I'm really glad that I just ended up doing another loop around. Now, that is basically what I would class as Instagram heaven for anybody that wants to go down that alleyway, because you have got so many different photo opportunities where you can just sit on different steps. You've got amazing backdrops, and it was just quiet. But there was people setting up tripods up there and just getting loads and loads of photos done, loads of films done. They knew what they were doing when they built that. But again, that is another good shortcut through where you can then get to the water and then loop it over to the Sci-Fi City if you want to. And then you can see you've got another Sesame Street ride just in there. And then you've got a shop to the right-hand side. And there is a gallery. Now, I did film that gallery. And that will be basically a silent walk round that will just be randomly uploaded, because I have no idea what that is to do with. But the artwork that was involved in that was beautiful, and it's got the history of different bits and pieces, and people stopping and taking photos of certain things and certain models that are on the inside. So it was a very, well, it is obviously a very, very popular anime show, but it is something that I don't have any recollection for. So when that video gets uploaded, or you spot that video, then obviously let us know. But this is the stage, so this is where the music was blaring and lots of people were performing just on there. And then you've got all the different cars of just stuff. So you've got all these different wagons and vehicles just out here, and again, lots and lots of people wanting their photo taken. You've got all the different style of hot rods, and you've got sort of like the American muscle cars. Now, obviously, this means nothing to anybody from the States, but I would imagine this is a very, very big deal to somebody that is local to this way, that hasn't seen any of these cars before. And let's be honest, they're in quite good condition as well. They're not dirty, the tyres aren't flat. They have been looked after, because they would not have moved, more than likely, since the actual park opened up. Now, I have absolutely no idea where I'm going, because I cannot remember walking this way. So we might end up now doing a bit of a secret walkway. This might be the way that I didn't add into one of the videos. I think this actually is. So from Mel's Cafe, you can just walk in a straight line, and eventually you can get to the right turning where everybody has their photo taken. And like I said, you've got this nice little ring and around the water that you can take, and you can get lots of photo opportunities. Now, just where they're crouching down taking some photos, that there where it says the arcade sign, it's just, yes, it's one of those areas that you could just stop, take loads of photos. You can take a load of photos outside of that front of that taxi as well. Lots of little benches, lots of little shade. Easily missed, I think. This part of the park could very well be easily missed, because you wouldn't really need to go down here, but it's nice that you do. And then when you do go down here, you can see all this different theming. I massively appreciate the fact that they've themed this so heavy for hardly anybody walking down this way, because they could have just left it open, but they've had it as like a proper sort of dirty alleyway. And you can see you've got no parking loading zones, because it's obviously got bits and pieces behind that, and some of that will just be either their storage or food. It might be surrounding for other rides and different bits and pieces. You saw there was a no fishing sign just on the other side as well. So obviously there's all the different bits and pieces heavily related to New York, and that did look very, very good. And now we're just coming back up into the Sci-Fi City. Now, I think in a minute or two it will be going slightly darker. Now, I can't remember the video files that I've added in from this. So I knew I did a parked loop. I know it was getting late into the day, because I know now this section has calmed down a huge amount. So I don't know if I went back to the Jurassic Park just to see how calm it was, or if we do explore some other little bits and pieces. But I am now just going to explore this with you and basically learn as we go and make it up as we go, because I cannot remember. But you have got those 4 bits and pieces just there, so they are your pay-to-plays. I think the plan is I'm now just going to walk back to the entrance. That's what I thought I did in my head, but we'll see if that is the case, because we'll have to walk back this way, walk down back to the entrance, or basically to where we started, and then that would make sense with regards to then just adding in the odd little bit of footage for the extra lighting. But you can see all this different theming on the side. This is just fake fascia. This is stuff that I really appreciate, just to build up and give that feel of an actual city, because it's hiding something else. That's the one thing I really appreciate about like huge roller coasters or big indoor rides, because you need other buildings around them just to hide it, and then you can just pop out in a different part of the park when you get off the ride. So all of this you see how deep that bit is. There's nothing in it on the inside, so it must mean that where you go into the theatre at the front, that's how big the theatre is, and then they've just wrapped it around with this fascia and they've just blended it in perfectly. So that's something I really do appreciate when I walk around theme parks like this, because I just like to see that kind of thing and just figure out basically how they've hidden different bits and pieces, how they've done different bits and pieces. I always find that I almost find that more interesting than the actual rides themselves sometimes, which is a bit weird, I know. But I think, are we going to go down the alley? I've talked about it enough. Yes. So how many people are taking photos down here? There's hardly anybody here, but every single one that you're seeing is just taking photos. There's 2. There's a selfie stick, so that's 3. This obviously must be a famous alleyway that they must have used in a lot of the older films, so it's lost on me. But the theming does look great. You easily go into any of these doorways. You can sit on some of the steps. You can obviously see that you've got all the old school signs dotted up and all that kind of thing. It's just a really interesting little cut through, but every time I cut through it, there's just different people posing for different things. Now I think I get stuck here for a minute or so because there's somebody right in the middle taking about 327 photos, and as they should, but it would have been handy if they just stepped to the side so everybody else could walk past, but then they move and then it's all good. So it carries on, it keeps going, and then you go underneath this archway and then you'll recognise where we are. So again, you've got these nice little steps that you can just sit on, but they're not blocked off, so you can just have your photo taken in front of the ice cream company and all the other little bits and pieces, so you can see all the little bits and bobs, but you can't get in any of this. That's the amazing thing. So those window displays, they're all just there for fascia and just hiding other little bits and pieces. So we've just walked down that way. We've got a nice little fire hydrant here. Now we're going to walk back, I do believe, in a straight line, which is the way that we came back up, and then we will have for the last couple of minutes a little bit of nice lighting with all the LEDs and things popping through, because you can see now you've got that really nice pink popping through just where it's a little bit shady. That is the gallery again that I said that we will be taking a look at in a separate video, and I'm not going to even bother putting a voiceover on that because I have absolutely no idea what I will be talking about on that one, so that'll just be a random standalone upload at some point from this incredible park in Singapore. Again, you've got loads and loads of people getting their photo taken from those cars. You can see they've got all the show times and everything up at the top for the trolls as well, but you can see just how big that building is. And again, that is a better look now at Mel's Cafe. You can see all the lighting and everything on there as well. So again, that's on all day, but it really does pop at night. But just as I'm panning around and trying to soak in all the fascia of all the buildings, you can see just how deep that Minion Land is. So it must be a really large section of the park that is currently blocked off. But I really would like to know what it is. I think I'm going to do my own research at the end of this video, and if people can confirm what it was in the comment section, that would be handy, because I wonder what we've lost. I wonder what they sacrificed for the Minions. Be interesting to see if they've pancaked everything and started again, or if they're just refacing some of the buildings, but it sounded like they were building bits and pieces from scratch as well. So you've got the Kung Fu Panda meet and greet just on there, so lots of different timings for that. And again, as you were walking by, some of these are shops, some of these are just areas that you can meet your favourite characters, and then you've got some nice little eateries and different bits and pieces on there. You've got a Hello Kitty thing to the one side, and then there's your Minion Mart on the other. So again, lots of different buildings to go in. This is now the time to come to this park, because everybody obviously walks up this way when the gates first open. A percentage of the park will just come to this section of the park first, so it's busy, and then you've got everybody else with the footfall of just how busy it actually is. But you can see how much calmer it is already from how we started the video, and if you actually saw the original upload of this, you could hardly move. It was very, very busy indeed, but at the same time, it is part and parcel, because depending on when you go to the park, peak season or weekend, you're going to either need 1 day or 2 full days to get on anything and everything that you want to get on. And then of course you've got all the shops and things to have a look at. Now, I thought I did this. We're back at Jurassic Park. There's now nobody here. So people are just moving out. They're just leaving the park, and I think I just carried on doing a walk, and I couldn't believe just how calm this section was. And I did just miss 1 or 2 paths, so we're just going to go back up some of these. So this is now going back to the food court, And this is where everybody was getting their photo taken, but you've now got your disabled rampway just up on this way. Again, you've got all the nice lighting, and then I missed all these tables and chairs. So you can see where you've got the nice photo opportunity just in the background with the different dinosaurs and things. Again, look very, very effective. Lots and lots of people taking their photo. And then obviously on the inside here, that was where your food court was. I did stick my head through, and I have added that in a separate video of just how large the inside of that is and just how clean and tidy it was on the inside as well. So it is a very, very special place. Again, that is a perfect screen grab because you've got just everybody going underneath the gates now, probably to get on their last ride before they go home. Whereas all of this is much, much calmer. So obviously there's lots and lots of people leaving. It was just a nice thing. So it's just a nice thing to explore. And again, moving on to this bit, just to show off just how much calmer this bit was. Some of this footage, I don't know if I haven't used any of this. I think my thought process was to add this in to the end of the individual uploads, just to show you what it was like at the end of the day. I forgot. So I've just done it here instead. But you can see now you've got the big Shrek 4D castle. Perfect photo opportunity for all of that. You can see just how much calmer it is on this bit. And then we move on to the next bit, which is this. And you can see it's just getting that little bit darker. So you've got the lights through on the subway, which is something I did not spot the first time. And now all of a sudden you've got all these lights pinging out at you a little bit better. So I was hoping it would get even darker and darker so you could see all of these lights, but it did look very, very pretty with it all lit up. So hopefully next time I do go to a Universal, I do manage to walk around it when it's much darker, because obviously with Disney being open so much later, it gives you the opportunity to do the whole park at night or do the whole park during the day, and it's a completely different experience, and you just have a completely different feel as you start walking around the park, because you tend to spot different things and you're not so much fussed about the rides. You just want to sort of explore the shops and see the window displays and that kind of thing, where they are quite difficult to see during the day. But this did look very, very nice. But you can see that we are running out of time. We've got a couple of minutes left. So guys, I'm going to say it one more time. If you can like this video and subscribe to the channel, that'd be absolutely fantastic. Again, let me know in that comment section below what this is like compared to your local Universal Studio park, and would you like to visit this park? But as we carry on going down, we've got all this amazing lighting just there. You've got all the nice other colours. So I didn't even spot that you had a load of green up on there. Didn't even spot there was a load of pink and purple to the right hand side. We've done this bit twice now. I didn't see any of these lights before, but they would have been turned on. You've got the Sesame Street sign. Obviously now that looks very, very smart. And then you've got the walkway just down there. You've got the nice LED lights on the sign that's just above. And then, of course, we've got the bits and pieces that were coming up into Mel's Cafe. Now, the Mel's Cafe, that'll all be sign written as well. But you can just see, you don't even know where to look, to be honest, because you've got all the lights everywhere. You want to try and soak it all in. It's almost like I just need to stand still, put the camera to as wide as what it will go, and just try and film both sides at the same time. Because the road is so wide, that is something that you don't have the luxury of doing. So you do have to turn around and actually have a look for yourself, and obviously just try and soak all of it in. So that is the plan that you need to do if you want to see it all. But I do like the fact that they have added lighting to the wall for the minions as well, so that actually wrapped all the way round, and you can see just how cool that sort of cassette player is as well. That was blaring music all the time. Then you had the performers that was just there, and then you've got all this nice lighting. I know it's pulsing. I think it's actually the design of the light. I don't think it's pulsing for the camera. I think it is actually just supposed to be flickering because it's under construction. It's doing that all the way down. So that is actually the design of it, because obviously it is there. Again, just got a little bit darker again. So we're sort of another maybe 15-20 minutes in. The cloud cover's just starting to come over. You've got this nice little bit of water that's coming through. It does look very, very smart indeed. You can see I'm just checking the time on my phone because we are running out of time, and then I have to then actually get myself back. So there will be another video to come from this section of a shop that is on the outside, and then maybe a little bit of a tour of their version of City Walk. Now, it's not quite City Walk, but there is an amazing Lego store there and a couple of other stores, but this is very, very food heavy. So if you are hungry, this is when you leave this park, there is anything you want to eat, all freshly cooked, sat outside in different sort of hubs and containers and pockets, all side by side. The smell was incredible as you started to walk down. It was just one of those things where you go, I don't particularly want to go back to the hotel rooms. It just smells so good. And then you've got all the nice lights and everything popping through. So I have done a video of the outskirts of this area as well, which again will be a long-ish upload, so keep your eyes peeled for that one. Or again, it might already be in the Universal Malaysia playlist. Sorry, Universal Singapore playlist, shall I say. Getting mixed up with Legoland now, because I actually went over there to Malaysia. So guys, we've got about 20 seconds, no, I'm lying to you, got about a minute left. So you can see people queuing up to see the Minions again, so they're out and about for the last time, so everybody leaves with a smile. But you can see how popular they are, because look at the queue length. Just to get their photo taken, it goes all the way down on the left-hand side, and that Hello Kitty area was massive as well. So there was loads and loads of different bits and pieces in there. And don't forget, also, you can buy all the Hello Kitty merch, you can buy all the bags, you can buy all the stuffed toys, all of that kind of thing as well. And as we're coming down, you can see there's more and more lights, and it's sort of more energy as you start coming down this way. To walk in for a night visit and to be meet and greet by all of this different bits and pieces, it would be something else just to see all of this when it's pitch black with all the street lights. It would look beautiful. But I think this is now the perfect lighting for the camera, because if it does get any darker than this, it does actually start to pulse. So at least it gives you a good understanding of just how nice this place will be lit up at night. And of course, we have also seen it during the day. But that is a full loop of Universal Studios in Malaysia. So again, if you want to check out the different videos in the playlist, feel free. I've got them all from dotted around the world as well, so hunt those down as they get uploaded. But guys, thank you very much for watching. You lot take care, and I'll catch you next one. Ta-da.